Cighto29 asked the questions in a comment. He asked, "Guy, I beg you fit break down rare and epic gears. Every video I come across does endgame gear 6-star level 16. So I'm gonna do a video response to this comment, basically answering every question newer players would want to know about gears, which is artifacts and accessories in Raid Shadow Legends. This is aimed at beginner players, but endgame players can always learn something new or add some more tips and tricks that I missed out in this video in the comments below. So these are all from my experience from playing Raid all these 5 years that I've been playing the game, and I've put together 5 key points so I don't talk endlessly about this topic. So key points that will guide me in this video. So the first key point I want to talk about for this video is best sources of gear in the early game. That's one thing that early game players have a difficulty with. You just begin to get some champions in Raid, you've been pulling some shards, you get those good champions, you start with your starter champions who comes with some lifesteal gear, right? Then you begin to pull some epics and others, and you're like, what do you put on them? So the best sources of gear in the early game will always be Dragon, right? So for that early game, the Dragon, no matter the level 16, level 19, level 20, I wouldn't say level 10, but that's the minimum level 16, not hard mode. I'm talking about normal mode Dragon. So that's my first key point. Best source of gear in the early game is going to be level 16, right? Let me see. Without using, yeah, level 16. So I say level 16 is because that's the last mode, the last level right here, and it's void affinity before things get a little bit difficult and it goes up to increase in the amount of energy you spend in that content. So level 16 is a key, is a nice place to start farming gear, a lot of farming, I mean. So not just coming in there with 1 battle or 2 battles. This, I'm talking about 500, no, not 500 battles, that's crazy, like 100 battles or so. If you're lacking gear to put on your champions, you could farm this content for a while. Now, if you can beat higher levels, there is no reason to start at 16. I'm saying this is like the minimum level you should be at before you want to spend a lot of energy and resources. I've seen most players even start at 12 or lower. I'm just saying from my own personal perspective, it will be better to start at this level to farm a lot of energy and gems in this content to get better gear. So that's one of the best source of gear in the early game. Now, there are some other ways to get gear that is kind of hidden and secretive in the game, and that one of the easiest way to get gear in the game, in that early game, most players would not know of, is by farming campaign. Yes, the brutal campaign especially does have a lot of gear that you use on a champion and help you in a lot of other areas, right? One of the ones that I look forward to a lot is this Palace of Aravia. So if you're farming Raid or if you're farming campaign, you know, when you're trying to get your champions to 6-star and you're farming one champion like this, let me just go and fight the battle and show you what I mean. One of your leader slot champions who's probably Kale or Atel or whoever you started the game with, a rare champion, right? Yeah, in this case Kale. So let's say you're farming Kale like this, you could always add food along with him and farm this content. What are you looking for? You're leveling up champions XP at the same time, and you're also at the same time fighting stage 6. You're looking for boots 6-star boots. Even the 5-star boots would be nice, but yeah, this content gives 5-star boots, right? Yes, 5-star boots is all you can get from here, and those are the chances of getting them. It's still a low chance, but it does happen. You get defensive, you get percentage HP, you get a lot of attack and all that, but what you're looking for is speed boots. That's the stats you're looking for, the main stat that you're looking for, right? So with that in mind, as one of the sources that you can farm gear in the early game, another one I'll draw your attention to is lifesteal that is required on a lot of champions in that early game, and you can also farm some. If the percentage stats of being glove, chest, and boots is too hard to farm and get, you can always do weapon, helmet, and shield. At least this one does not have percentage main stats. You can always get normal attack 5-star, normal HP helmet 5-star from this content. It doesn't matter whether it's rare, uncommon, it doesn't matter the rarity, as long as it gives you the main stat and the ability to heal your champion. So that's the best sources of gear in the early game. The Dragon, the campaign, if you're so low at the level that you don't have anything to slap on champions, just come in here, fight it at brutal. I wouldn't recommend you do that at hard or normal modes. It's brutal that is the best. Now you say, what about Nightmare? I feel like most players who come into Nightmare, some gear that are hidden is in this this thing right here. It's not showing, but there are some challenges right here in the nightmare that will give you 6 pieces of 6-star, I think 6 pieces of 6-star speed artifacts also. I think there's a mission right here. Most players try to go for that one. It's quite hard to get it done, but there are some gear hidden along these missions if you can push along and get them done. You don't have to 3-star all of them. Even if you get 1-star, 2-star, 2-star, 1-star, 2-star and push along, you might be able to unlock that challenge and get that gear. That's a hidden one, but it requires a lot of resources to get that done. It's not recommended. I just wanted to add that as a way that you can get some gear without farming the dragon and that early game. So that's one of the best sources. Another source that is so free to do in the early game is going to be the forge. Damn, this forge is so crucial. In that early game, they give you some forge materials which you should not even spend or come in here and spend until you can comfortably do this, add a rank charm, add a rarity charm, and then add an, well, you might not have this other third resource, right? But basically rank and rarity are the two things you always need before you can hit this craft button. If you don't have rank and rarity charms, I wouldn't really recommend you. This is what you need in that early game. I wouldn't really recommend you do it. This is an amazing example right here of somebody in the early game that gets this. It will just change your game for the better. So I highly recommend you save your resources for this forge and spend it all on perception. Don't spend it on resilience. Don't spend it on swift parry. Save all the resources you get from perception. Where do you get all these resources from? From fighting faction wars. Whenever those factions open, whether you started with Kale, Atel, Elhain, or whoever, whenever their factions open, or you got your Sun Wukong, or you got a legendary, whenever their factions open, go in there and fight the first 5 or 6 battles you can. Don't let this key stay here and expire every day. You get a lot of resources that is required to go forge those materials. So by fighting these faction wars, you get those materials. Now if you can get it at a higher level, you even get a higher drop rates of those materials, those forge materials. So don't ignore the faction wars. That's where you get the materials needed to do that forge. You just saw me got a 6-star boot from perception set, which will be amazing for any early game player. Getting a 6-star boot that early is good because farming the dungeons and farming the campaign will only give you 5-star boots at that level. So this content is so amazing that they added to the game. Forge perception is the #1 priority. Now if you have any other resources, you can forge the other ones for silver purposes, but for perception, forge it with those very rank and rarity charms so you can get a higher level of those gears and something like that. So don't ignore faction wars. They do give you the resources required to forge those materials. I think that topic is covered now. So the next question, the next key point I have right here is best sets in the early game. That's something an early game player might be thinking whenever they have a champion. They're thinking, what do I put on my Sun Wukong? What do I put on my KO? What do I put on my Torage the Frog? It's a lot of resources. I mean, it's a lot of options you have in terms of the gear sets that you want to put on champions. There's a lot of gear sets. It gets confusing. In that early game, a lot of players or a lot of champions need healing, need sustain. They need to stay alive. They don't really focus on 100% damage. They try to see how long they can stay alive in the battle. Why are you trying to stay alive? Because the #1 priority in that early game is clan boss and dungeons, and those two content will test your strength, will test your champions, will kill you a lot harder if you come in there with squishy champions. So you want to build tanky in that early game. That's what I'm saying. You don't have the resources is required to build that high damage champions. So in that early game, you just think, how can I stay alive? How can I stay alive? That's all you think about. So instead of going attack on the chest in the early game, you go with defense and HP on the chest. So now I'm coming up to stats, but I wanted to talk about sets first. Let me talk about sets first. In that early game, since you're farming the dragon, you get a lot of lifesteal and speed sets. Those are the two that are most important in that early game. Lifesteal and speed sets, because every champion in the raid is trying to hit above that 150 speed mark in the early game, trying to hit that 200 speed mark in the early game, because your enemies are about 100 speed or so, right? So if you can overlap them and go twice before they get 1 turn, it makes you easier. You don't even have books at that early game. It makes you overlap them and take 2 turns before they get 1 turn. So that's why you need a lot of speed on a lot of champions. Think about it. Apothecary, High Cartoon, Seal of the Drakes, any of these champions needs a lot of speed. You have more champions that need speed than anything. Now, the second type of champion you build a lot in the early game is champions who need a lot of accuracy. Now, by farming that dragon again, you get a lot of these sets. Now, I'm end game, so I don't keep a lot of it, but this is an early game set that you will need a lot of. Now, if you've been doing that other faction wars and forging a lot, you will not rely on that accuracy set. Instead, you'll be having a lot more perception sets. You'll be swimming in perception if you've been fighting that faction wars every day, and your perception set will look something like this if you farm it a lot or if you forge a lot, right? So perception answers this question to accuracy sets, so most players don't even rely on accuracy sets a lot, but the combination of these 3 sets will give you both accuracy and speed. So sometimes you don't have good speed sets, you might have a champion who just goes triple perception and gives him the speed he requires to go faster than even being in a speed set. So that's the first type of set that I'll talk about, and then let's go up to the one that you need in all your clan boss champions, and that early game will be in lifesteal. Because yes, unfortunately, lifesteal is still the best set for early game clan boss, where you're dealing with champions who are a killable team. So you don't have your monitor, you don't have your painkeeper, you don't have those block damage comps, right, to stay alive forever in the clan boss. This is how you stay alive in the clan boss. Lifesteal, and you don't even have regen sets on immortal, so I wouldn't even recommend that. Lifesteal is easy to farm in that early game, and that's how you stay alive. In that early game, I used to build 5, 6, all my champions in the clan boss used to be in lifesteal. Nobody goes into the clan boss or even the dragon dungeons without being in lifesteal. That's how you stay alive. Now, if you do have a reviver, a crazy healer or something like that, you might not need lifesteal. If you have leech, you might not need lifesteal. Those are options, but I'm saying it's so important if you don't have those other options. So those are my tips about best sets for the early game that you want to keep a lot of, because every champion wants to go fast. Even if it's a champion is a damage dealer, you can still see them adding a little bit of sets. Right now, a caution about sets: don't be so focused on building sets on a champion that you make them become a bad build. So if a champion like this now relies on speed, you see me matching speed. Look, I have to find a better example where I'm not relying on sets. I have to find a better example for this one, because sets is not always the answer to building champions in Raid Shadow Legends. Sets is not always the answer. I'm looking for one champion that doesn't have sets. Now I'm looking for it, I might not find it. There you go. This is one, right? No crazy sets, right? So this is one example that I'll give right here. Tylesia is a champion that does AoE decrease defense, right? She does some crit rate and crit damage also. So yeah, she is. Decrease defense, AoE. Your first thinking is to give this champion accuracy. Accuracy, perception, accuracy sets. Those are the first thinking. So whenever you build a champion like this, you just first of all think perception, accuracy sets. I'm saying sometimes it's not always the best to give them those sets. Sometimes it's best to give them random sets. I can still meet my accuracy requirement by going accuracy on a banner, or by having accuracy on these sub stats if I can find them. Accuracy right here, 18. No accuracy here, no accuracy here. But she still managed to meet the accuracy requirement of 209. So I'm saying you can still build your champions well in Raid Shadow Legends without relying on always accuracy sets, without relying on always perception sets. Sometimes if the going off sets gives you better stats, you can put that on a champion instead of going sets. So basically I'm trying to say, sometimes look through your gear and see if you can make the champion faster, have more accuracy without relying on sets. Sets is not always the answer. It's good, you have the advantage of using sets, but sometimes by restricting a champion build to always use sets, you kind of slow down their speed, you kind of slow down their damage, you kind of slow down, because you're forcing yourself to use lifesteal set when you don't have enough good lifesteal. Sometimes your perception and your speed set or even day set is better than your lifesteal. There's something called offset potential. So you can see this champion using 2 sets that are not matching, right? They don't match. So normally I'm supposed to have 2 immortal to have this chance of having this 15% heal. But since I don't have 2 immortals right now, I'm not getting the 15% heal from this artifact glove that I'm supposed to be getting. I'm supposed to have some more sets of merciless to get some stats from it, but I'm using a single merciless to just get 10% attack. So sometimes you want to mix and match to get what you want. I have the accuracy chest, I have the HP and the crit rate glove. I'm not matching them because of they don't go together. I'm not matching them because I don't need HP. I'm not matching them because I don't need the extra crit damage, or maybe because I don't even have a better option for this slot. You can always use the Hades artifact extractor to help you make these choices if you don't yet know what is good on the artifact and what is not, right? So I just wanted to add that to the sets disclaimer, so you don't always rely on sets and make your champions have bad builds by restricting yourself to sets. If the set is telling you to use a defensive boot, please go put speed sets. Go put speed boot on that champion and forget about the sets. I have lifesteal, but if this lifesteal boot is telling me to use defense or HP or attack, then I know that's going to slow down my champions significantly. So I'll go lifesteal, speed boots of something different. And then I won't proc the lifesteal, but at least my champion will be fast. Okay, I've stressed that point enough, because that's something that newer players fall into, that trap of forcing their champions, every champion, into a set that they forget that offset potential sometimes is even stronger than having a complete set potential. In certain areas, you must have a set. In certain areas, you don't really need it. My Thalassia was built for faction wars. That's why she doesn't care about sets, right? Besides, if she has a reviver in her team, a healer and a reviver in her team, she might not care about keeping her own self alive. She'll just rely on that healer and reviver to keep her alive, and she'll forget about lifesteal or regen or whatever, right? All right, now this next point I put down right here, best stats. This will also tie into what to keep, what not to keep, and all that. In the early game, I'll tell you, you see that 1-5 of 1-5, I'll tell you to hit this number before you begin to care about best stats. Why? Because I've seen some early game players have 200 gear, 300 gear because they were selling a lot of bad artifacts. If it's bad, you can sell it. You need the silver, right? But don't sell so much that you are so low in your artifact storage. So in here, 1005 of 1005, I probably have 500 bad stats. Why didn't I sell it? When I say stats, I'm talking about the sub stats, these resistance. If I go right here, let me just find one that is probably bad that I kept. Why am I keeping it? Okay, let's say something like this now. That's defense flat stat 26. This is bad sub stat, right? But I kept this because of the main stat, and I kept it because of the defense, double the defense percentage that they rolled into. So there's always reasons why you keep these stats. So the best stats for a speed, for an accuracy chest like this will be accuracy, right? Accuracy with accuracy is crazy, is good, is an amazing one, right? So sometimes you want to keep more than one. HP accuracy substats is good. So basically, you want to have some main stats that is good for that particular set. You want to have some good substats for that particular set. But before you begin to sell all of them, I'll talk about this more when I talk about space management. You want to make sure you have the best stats for every set that you want, right? Example, the best stats for speed, talking about substats, will always be speed. So if I click here, you see speed, no speed right here. So why did I keep this? Because I hope to use it on Faction War Champion. So this ties into management of space too. But this is not the best stats for a speed artifact. So if I wanted to sell any weapon right here, it will be this one. So sometimes you have to make those difficult choices. But the best stats for a speed set is speed. The best stats for an accuracy is accuracy substat. The best stats for lifesteal depends on the lifesteal champion that is wearing it. There are some lifesteal champions who do damage based on defense and accuracy. There are some lifesteal champions who do damage based on attack. This is going to be for an attack champion or something like that. So it depends on the champion that is wearing it. A lot of artifacts require you to keep multiple copies of them, and that's why we end up filling up our inbox with so much artifacts. The best stats for HP will be, for shield will be HP. So most things you see me keep here is HP. The best stats for relentless is everything. Anything relentless, you have to keep them because this set is so hard to obtain. And the best stats for Savage is crit rate, crit damage, and either defense or attack, depending on the champion who you want to wear it on. So I'm not going to go through all of them basically, but you get the point. The best stat for stun set is speed. So every artifact you want to put on a champion, you have to decide on yourself if that champion has those best sub stats for him. Provoke doesn't need accuracy, retaliation, crit. This is one I normally sell a lot of. Stalwarts, you need a lot of defense and HP. Reflex is kind of complicated. You have to keep a lot of it because you don't get so much of it. And of course, I did keep some of this trash, which I probably should sell automatically before they even come in here. I'll talk about that as the last point. Crew, a lot of damage dealers. You get a lot of crew sets from the clan boss, right? So attack and crit rate, attack and crit rate, crit damage. So basically, I'm looking for attack percentage mostly. So if you see, I don't even find it here, but I still kept this one. This most likely will be sold when I do a gear cleanse. So no attack right here, but I kept it because of the crit damage. And since I have this one, I probably will sell this other three, but I'll do a gear cleanse later. And of course, on the speed of these artifacts, you want to go with attack percentage or some speed. I have too many attack percentage, I might end up selling some. This one had double crit, is an amazing one to have with attack, because there are some champions who just go attack on the boots and they don't even care about their speed because they want to go slow and do tons of damage. Best stats for Immortal will be HP. So HP speed. I like the HP percentage, especially on this type of artifact sets. Champions who do Immortal want that 50% HP, so you give them more HP to even do more. And of course, boots. I have not seen any Immortal champion going HP percentage on the boots, but you want to keep it just in case there's a one that goes that slow. And of course, best stats for perception, you want different type of perception, especially the one with speed and accuracy. And then secondarily, one maybe accuracy, crit rate, crit damage, or even defense and HP. But basically, I like a lot of speed and accuracy on my perception, and maybe sometimes attack, triple roll on attack on some champions who need accuracy. A lot of ones I keep. I'm not going to talk about these ones that are impossible to get until you get to the end game: Stone Skin, Lethal, Guardian, and all that stuff. Zeal, no. I just wanted to point some out that are obtainable in the early game, and you get a lot of from the clan boss, from the dungeons, and all that stuff, right? All right, that's my best stats for artifacts sets that you will have in this game. I didn't go through all of them, but if you want to ask in the Discord, you can always ask and I'll point you to the ones that you should keep in a particular set. It takes a while to get this knowledge in you, and you don't even not to think about it. It takes a while. So let's say, for example, defense. Okay, what can you think of the stats that you want to keep for defense? Defense. So if two of them will give a champion defense, by giving more defense right here, this doesn't have defense. This one has flat defense. By giving more defense substat in percentage, which percentage will always be better than flat stat like this, right? You always want that percentage stat, not the flat one. But percentage stats is better. Having a set of them that have percentage will be better. So just another example. Offense sets, damage based on attack. Offense sets. You don't want to keep a lot of this one because you have crew. Crew is a better upgrade to this one. This one doesn't have anything than just this 15% attack. While crew has 15% attack and something else added to it, right? The ignore attack. Ignore the defense of the enemy. All right, so those are the three things I wanted to really touch about in this video. Your best sources of early game artifacts, your best sets, and then your best stats. Now to the management of this gear, which I think is where your question might be coming from. How do you manage this gear? Talking about 5 and 6 star ones. Don't take every gear you get in the early game to 16. That's always also talking about silver management, right? So example, now if I go through the noob to pro account, which is still over 1 year old, you see me still using a lot of 5-star gear. I'll start with this first champion, 5-star, 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 5-star. So this seems like an account that is still in line with using a lot of 5-star, right? So the key point I wanted to talk about for this management of space and management of silver in this early game is don't sell everything you get because it's 5-star. I know that we've come to a point in raid where we no longer want to use 5 stars in champions. Why? Because you farm the dragon for a while and you get a lot of 5-star gear and you put on all your champions. That gear you put on your champions should be enough to push you out of farming level 20 and move on to 25. This is giving you even a higher chance of getting 6-star artifacts, and this is where you should be farming, whether it's 24, 25. This is where you should be farming in that early game. Back in the day, I just said 16 is the best way to farm, and immediately you can start doing 20. You shouldn't be so comfortable at this level 20 of any dungeon that you're farming, because you'll be getting a lot of 5-star gear, right? You'll be swimming in 5-star gear. But when you begin to push yourself, push your champions to their maximum potential, and push yourself to this, the faster you can get to 24, 25, the better your gear will get. So the Noob to Pro did do all we can to get to that level. Even hard mode, if you can do 20, 24, 25, you probably can even begin to touch hard mode and even increase your chances of getting those 6-star gear, because raid has come so far that 5-star gear is no longer impressive. For about 3 months, you're no longer looking at 5-star gear as worthy, useful for your champions. Depends on how long you played, though, depends on how active you are in the game. So that's the point I wanted to make about this management of this space, that keep a lot of 5-star gear, yes, but immediately you begin to farm a lot of 6-star gear, like this account is doing, farming 6-star gear every day in hard mode of this dragon or other content hard mode. I don't need to always keep 5 stars. So if I wanted to sell some gear to create, let's say 50 space, what do I need to sell first? It's the 5-star gear. I know that there are some 5-star gear that are way better than a 6-star epic gear. There are chances like that. So I'm not saying just come in here, filter for all 5-star and sell them. I'm not saying do this. No, don't sell all this. That's not the key point on this video. I'm trying to say in this number 6 point or number 4 point of this video, I'm saying management of space requires you at the level where you get up to the point where you're farming a lot of 6-star gear to come in here and sell a lot of the 5-star gear. So you asking the questions about 5-star gear management, I almost told you why I used to using 5-star gear, but then I remembered for the next 3 months, 6 months, most players will be stuck with this gear, and this is all they can get. This is all they can farm, and it's totally fine to slap them on your champions, and hopefully they can get you to getting 6-star gear. So some 6-star rare gear is better than some 5-star legendary gear. You just have to look at the stats and think, is this worth keeping? Is this bad? Is this good? You have to make those decisions for your gear and then sell them. In terms of space management of gear at the same time, I'll say slap this gear on a lot of champions. You just saw me, I'm 1-5 of 1-5, I'm out of space. But if I have some epic champions in this vault that do not have gear, example, that's a legendary champion I got. He doesn't have any gear because I don't intend to use him in anywhere. I have talked about it in several other videos before. It's totally fine to bring this champion out of the vault. Let me find him. Slap some gear on him and put him back in the vault. So there it is. This is how you can create some space for you, because you probably don't have. It doesn't matter the gear you give to them, as long as it's maybe the ones you're not willing to sell. I'm not putting this gear on him because I'm going to use him in any content. I'm putting this gear on him because I do not want to sell this gear, or I felt like this gear is kind of good. I'll find a use for it in the future. And I was like, fine, let me just slap it on a champion. That's the reason why he's getting this gear. It doesn't have to be a match. I can go look for chest somewhere else and slap it. Now, in the future, if I need to build a champion that is looking for a crazy amount of HP or speed, I can use this as an offset to slap on that champion, instead of saying because I was looking for space I sold it. So this is another key point that you can also use to manage your gear better, by slapping gear, a lot of artifacts and accessories on champions that are in the vault. Now I know there are champions that are in this reserve vault, you cannot put gear on them. That's totally fine, but that's why you also have to increase your storage a little bit here, so you can store a lot of those champions here and put a lot of gear on them. By using the RSA helper, the L8 artifact extractor, it can find every gear on your account, including these ones that I've put on champions before, and see whether they are the best for the champions you're building at that time. So this is another tip that I used to get me a lot of gear and a lot of storage, by slapping all these older champions that I'm not using, give them a lot of your gear and put them back in the vault. Whenever you need those gear, you can call them out, take them from them and use them. So that's one key point on space management do a lot of gear cleansing. Don't be one of those players who is sitting at 400 or 400 right here. When you're so high in that level of gear that you're swimming in gear, even your inbox is full, you don't have the opportunity to go farm the dragon that is open right now. 3x speed of getting speed artifacts from the dragon. 3x boosted chance of getting speed artifacts. You should be farming this right now, right? Whether it's you're doing at 20, you're doing at 25, this is how you get new gear. But if you're full in your storage, you don't have space at all to go farm this content at all. So it's something that you have to be, be on top of. Sell all this trash gear, make some space so you can go farm new content when it comes up. Don't be 400 or 400 right here, and then whenever there's a new dungeon like this out with giving you best chance of farming it, you don't have the space to farm it. Even if you have the silver, you have the gems, you just don't have the space because you've not done everything you can do, including gear cleanses, building older champions and all that stuff. You don't even need to level up those older champions. You just put the gear on them and put the champion away. All right, I think I've touched on a lot of early game related content about gear. I don't know if I answered your question well enough. You can let me know in the comments below. You asked, really, you wanted me to break down rare and epic gears. I don't know if this did it well, but I just wanted to try to give you this video response right here. So hopefully you found this one useful. Hopefully you're doing everything I said in this video to get your gear where they need to be. Remember, make space, farm new ones. Make space, farm new one. Don't be so greedy or stingy with your gear. Don't be a hoarder. Basically, if you're a hoarder, you'll not get the opportunity of getting new things. Push your champions to their limits and don't let them, all of them, stay there without books, without masteries, and then you're struggling thinking your gear is the problem when your champions don't have all the other stats required to give them, the addition to the gear that you have. Don't run around with a bunch of champions that are level 12, level 8, level 12 and wondering why you can't beat that content. You always have to hit that 16, even if it's that 5-star gear you're talking about, even if the rare gear, it has to hit that 16 during artifact enhancement, of course, so you can have more resources, right? So hopefully this one helps. If you're using RSL Hopper, I'll add this as a last tip. Be careful, be very careful when you use this RSL Hopper tool. If you can bring it up right now, there it is. So it's a nice tool to use, but be very careful with this sell file. You can see that it has a lot of rules, which if you don't know what is being sold automatically for you, your good gear that you have could be sold, right? So check out the sell file you're using, make sure it's right for your level of the game, and even while it's farming, you can do some tests to see whether it's going to sell good gear, whether it's going to sell gear you're supposed to keep. Whenever you turn it on, you have to watch it a little bit and read the sell file specifically. Take out things you don't like about it. I know there's a lot of rules, or you can even create your own sell file rules to say only sell 4-star gear, to say only sell flat star gear only in glove, chest and boots. You can only set those rules and use that as your sell file. You don't always have to use this long sell files that have a lot of rules that might sell gear that you're supposed to keep for your level of your account. So that's one thing that newer players should take note of. Don't always rely on it always auto selling for you. Even auto forging is not recommended. Auto forging, yes, is good, but auto forging and auto selling, that's the part that I don't recommend. You almost always, even if I have RSL Hopper, you can see that I still have gear overflowing right here because I did not let it auto sell this gear for me. I want to manually view this gear by myself and choose what I want to keep and what I want to sell. Every account is different. RSL Hopper does not, the sell file does not always reflect your account where it should be. It doesn't always apply to you. It might apply to a lot of people, but your account and the things you keep, your needs for your champions might be totally different. So create your own sell files, specify them as your changes or your needs increase. You can edit those sell files and so on. Or you can take a sell file that already been created and edit it to suit your needs. All right, that's the last tip I wanted to add right here. If I did not answer this question at all, if it does not involve what you asked, you can always hop onto the Discord. If you have other tips that can help early game players who are trying to navigate raid, coming into this game a week, a month, 6 months into the game, and they are so confused about this complicated thing called artifacts and accessories, you can drop it in the comments below to help newer players who are coming in to know more about it. For my own game, I think this is how I played it, and this is what all the tips and tricks I can share with newer players coming in right now about gears and accessories in the game. And I didn't even talk about accessories, I just call them gear in general. But for accessories, don't sell them. Just don't. There are lots of champions who require a different type of accessories. Don't sell them. I know that this is the best way to get what do you call them, silver in the game, by farming the spider and selling them. Yes, still, but you want all this storage to be full. You want your best artifacts. You want your best accessories. Then you can start selling. So if I should go example, if I go to my banner right here and I say I'm looking for an accuracy banner, I should be able to find accuracy banner in every faction. That's why it's so difficult. So right now, as I selected accuracy, you can see I have a lot for demon spawn. This is only when I can begin to come here and sell. So make sure you have defense, you have HP percentage, you have accuracy banner, you have attack banner, you have attack ring, you have attack amulet. Make sure you have at least 1 or 2 of each, sometimes even 5 of each before you begin to sell. So if I wanted to sell out of this one, I'll sell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the rest should stay. So it's gonna be something, what to sell, what to keep videos are out there. You can always, check them out, or even ask, like I said, in the comments, and I'll be able to do about a dedicated guide for you about what to sell and what to keep. But for now, this is just a general tip for accessories. It's one that I normally don't touch until I'm sure, 100% sure, that I have a lot of it, right, for every faction. So example, I'm looking for a faction where I don't have accuracy banner for. High Elves is one that I have only 4. So definitely not going to be selling. Now imagine me coming here and selling these 4 High Elves accuracy banners, and then a champion needs an accuracy banner, I don't have it. So that's one thing. There is one that I normally sell a lot of. It's going to be attack. Because there's not a lot of champions who build on attack. So I usually sell a lot of this one. So that's why you see me, I'm not keeping 2 rows of this one. Whenever I need silver, I just come here and sell attack. Whether it's for banners, whether it's for amulets, whether it's for ring, I don't usually keep a lot of it, because only bomb champions usually need a lot of attack on the amulet or ring or something like that. Also, damage dealers also need attack banners too, but it's not one that I keep a lot of. Alright, just a general knowledge video for those players coming into raid. Hopefully this one helps you out, gives you some tips and tricks about navigating this complicated gear in raid. Let me know if I missed out on anything. I don't want to make this one any longer. I just wanted to do a general video talking about the best sources, best sets, best stats, management of your space, and of course some RS helper tips for you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more daily raid content. Check out the Noob to Pro series, which have a day-to-day guide that shows you how I navigated a early game player account all the way to now where it is right now, end game, and has all these crazy champions and crazy artifacts to showcase. It does have a day-to-day, not every day, but at least a weekly update of my progression that shows you the gear progression that you can learn a lot of, right? I even have some gear cleanses that I did on that Noob to Pro series, so check it out. I'll just add this video to that playlist maybe later, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. Thank you.